Well, good morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with my partner in crime, Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers from John L. Scott, Southern Oregon, and we're here to talk about the Southern Oregon real estate market today. We're so excited to have you listen because boy, howdy, what a roller coaster out there, right, Pete? Can you believe what's going on?
Well, we've been telling our listeners for about 2 months now how the market has really been changing. Alice, we go kind of up 1 week and then we kind of go down a week and then we kind of go up a week again and then we go down a week. So it's like this. Although it seems like, at least my experience, and you're out in the field, we're out there every day, it seems to be changing a little bit, like it's softening. Just there's a different feel. I don't know what it really is. Are you seeing that too? I mean, it's still active. There's still a lot of buyers. There's still low inventory. Those are still the big issues. But it seems that there's a different air because maybe we know more certainty that school's not going to happen the way we thought. Jobs are where they are. It seems to be changing. What do you think?
Well, my experience is very similar, but I was also kind of watching for this ever since the corona started.
Okay.
And the interesting dynamics that are different this week from the last few weeks are we have people not writing offers that would have, they're slowing down their decision-making process. And we have people that are getting into escrow and then changing their mind. So there's so many multi-offers. You can watch when something goes pending and count 3 days, 5 days, and boom, it goes back on the market. Although, in the state of Oregon is very lenient with buyers, and you can practically get out at the end of a deal, and still get your earnest money back because they won't let you go back on the market as a seller until you resolve the earnest money. And there's a lot of people canceling their deals in the beginning, during their inspection period, and even at the end.
Well, as you say that, this last week, I had three, seriously. We had three buyers. They were all couples. We were looking, we had looked, we were going to write on several of them. We wrote on one, and all three, Alice, pulled back saying, geez, I just can't, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I really haven't, even though the house I like, but it's not the one that I really, really want. So the inventory is kind of playing a role there that they're saying, hey, maybe we should just pull back and hold off for a few more months. I don't know. It's changing it, and it's going to have an effect on buying, selling, really for the rest of the fall season, I think.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about that because there's other interesting dynamics that are happening in our local market as well as in the national real estate market. So do not touch that dial. We will be right back with the Real Estate Show. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show. Folks, we're so happy that you're tuning in today. I'm Alice Lema here with Pete Belcastro. We're both real estate brokers at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon. And we have a very lively discussion about the interesting changes and dynamics that just started infiltrating our local market. And we're also going to talk about what's going on in the national real estate market, plus it's an election year. So Pete, what we were just talking about how people are the buyers are slowing down and changing their mind and this and that. And I'm thinking that's a really bad idea right now and that they're going to be sorry that they did that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we're certainly seeing it. Again, I had three people, couples, we had written, one offer was written on, we were going to write another one, we were looking at another, and all three kind of pulled back from that from last week, citing all the same thing, that they really didn't find the house that they wanted, which to me sounds like the inventory is so low still. I mean, look, we're down 48% from a year ago, which is really quite remarkable when you think about it. And so people are trying to say, I like the place, but maybe it's not the one that I really, really want, Alice. And so I think they're pulling back and saying, I'll wait till we see more inventory come on and then I'll maybe get back and try it again. But you see that as they may lose everything and not get anything. Is that what you're saying?
I think there's going to be less selection than they think coming. And yes, I'm the one that's been saying there's going to be more houses and properties in all departments, including commercial. We need to talk about the decline of commercial before we finish today. But in the residential, even having more to choose from, the sellers that are going to be putting their houses on the market coming in the coming months are not going to be as cooperative, in my opinion, and this is just my prediction. And this is because they're feeling forced to sell. There's a whole slew of business owners that are having to choose between their businesses and their homes right now. And I know that because I'm involved in some of those conversations. They have equity right now. They're not looking at short sales, but they're not happy about this. And it's going to make it a brutal transaction in some cases because they're so unhappy.
Wow. And how does that get resolved then? How do you resolve that? You're the broker, you're dealing with that. How do you resolve it?
So if the seller, if you can, as a buyer's agent, if you can get the seller's rep to tell you a little bit about the circumstance, then you can help prepare your client. Not everybody will disclose that. So with that in mind, what I counsel people is if we start seeing more inventory, and we happen to know, because it's such a tinky tiny town, right? We all know who owns what business wise. So if business owners are starting to put their property, their main residential property on the market because they're trying to save their business, then you just got to know that's a real painful moment for them. And even though they might not be in a foreclosure, they're going to have to really fight for every penny because this is kind of a do or die situation for them. And I just see a lot more of those kinds of situations coming between like the September, October, and going into next spring.
Well, and we know that, we got Christmas coming up, and what's going to happen with those properties. I don't know. I think it's a real dilemma for a lot of people. I've been with some business owners, Alice, who've been really affected by this, and they're putting their own money into the business. They're taking their own personal money, putting it into the business.
They're taking their 401ks.
And boy, my advice to them is you can't do that. Don't do that. My father did that, Alice, back years ago in the 80s. And the one thing he regretted was that he put all this money to keep this business going. You lost it anyway. And then you didn't even have your money that you had saved. So boy, it's a real dilemma, and you're right. And it's not going to resolve itself, but people, and we really need to be aware of those situations. I agree with you. It's look at Ashland, for example. Like, go downtown, the restaurants, everything. It's just so sad to see this happening to our commercial areas and our commercial businesses. And there's really no, I don't know if there's any end in sight. There's a lot of people have a lot of money, but still the business owners are the ones really, really suffering right now in this pandemic, more so than sellers and buyers of real estate. I mean, it's the business community, the business owners, the leaders.
Exactly.
They're suffering the most.
Exactly. And they're having to make some really hard decisions. So simultaneous with that is the ongoing landlord-tenant thing that we have in the state of Oregon. So, and again, the rent control, Oregon is the first rent control state in the United States, and we're going into our second, third year of that. And we at the end of every tax season, I see a whole bunch of landlords put their properties on the market. So there's a slow dissolving of portfolios. Some of the landlords are just over it. They don't want to be in the market. So I do see that happening. But the problem with that is they have tenants in them. And during the corona, the tenants either don't want to show or they're scared. They're working from home. They've got children. They've got pets. They don't want to move. They don't have a place to go. So again, I see Section 2 problem area with the new batch of inventory. So as a seller, I think you would be so smart to put your house on the market right now, where there's all these starving buyers. There's still a bunch out there that will pull the trigger right now, because I think it's going to be more difficult later in the year when everything gets worse and more confusing.
Well, as you brought up about the amount of people buying, we had a listing, one of ours, in Phoenix this last weekend. We had 26
we had 32 total.
32 showings in 3 days.
Yep.
I was shocked at that. We knew we were going to have some showings, not that many. Was you surprised by that, Alice? That many people out there for that one? This is a 2-acre property with a little house on it.
But it's flat, usable, irrigated with Talent Irrigation. If you're new to the area, we have an irrigation system that goes around our whole valley. Super cool, makes your property valuable. But the weird thing is, we thought we were going to have multiple offers. In fact, I called you like day 2 and said, oh my gosh, we're up to like 20 showings already. We need to put in the MLS that we're going to do a highest and best on Monday. And then we didn't get any offers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How weird is that? How weird is that?
When you think of the market the way it is, it makes no sense. But again, I think buyers are being a little more picky now, maybe. Maybe they're looking at certain things. Price is always, let's face it, price is still king. If it's too high, it's not going to get offers. If it's too low, you're going to get multiple offers. That's kind of like supply and demand to me.
Well, and is it okay to say the name of the street that house was on?
Sure.
Okay, so it's Houston Road, and it's going pending today, right?
It's pending right now.
And how many offers did we end up getting after 30-something showings?
One.
But
it was a great offer. I mean, it was a really, really good offer. Yes, but we had one.
Right, but mathematically, if you have that many showings, we should have had at least 4 offers, right? 3 or 4, right? Yeah, he's holding up, because we're taping this for YouTube, he's holding up 3 fingers. So yeah, and we're still working remotely, folks. We don't work out of the radio station anymore. So if we talk over each other and it bleeps out, that's usually my fault.
Well, what's really happened in the market, a few months ago, we were always telling everybody 350,000 was kind of the cutoff. Most of the sales in Jackson, Josephine, and even Jackson and Josephine counties were $350,000 and below. We watched that month after month. It's been really consistent until June, 2 months ago, and everything changed. This last week, Alice, just to tell you again, there were 62 closed sales in Jackson County last week. 41 of those were over $350,000 again. Over half again are now selling between $350,000 and $500,000 is now the new, I don't want to say the new normal price, but that is where really a lot of the action is taking place right now in Jackson and Josephine County in that price range. It's amazing.
And the prices are going up in Klamath as well. And again, we talk about this every week. We've talked about it like 6 weeks in a row. The people who now know they can work from home are taking their jobs and they're going to more affordable places. And it's not just happening in San Francisco and LA, it's happening in Ashland, it's happening in Jackson County. People are going to other places because their taxes are lower, because they have a bigger house, they have a higher quality of life. But I want to point out that while our prices are going up in our area, the prices are plummeting in New York and in Portland and in Seattle and in San. It's like people can't get out, they can't. And so again, a lot of what about all these businesses that are having all this destruction downtown? It was on the financial news this morning, because it's too scary to watch the real news. So the financial news is saying there's going to be a crisis in the commercial market. It's like, no, right? And when is that going to hit? It's going to hit this fall and this winter.
Yeah, and it's beginning right now. You're right. And the cities are where it's going to come, and it will filter down, maybe down into the smaller towns. But hopefully, we may just have enough economic activity going around here, Alice, where we're not going to be affected too much by that. We're going to see just more demand for housing that we don't have. That's my big fear, is that we already see it. And if it gets more acute between now and the end of fall or beginning of winter, wow, what happens, over the winter time? I don't know. But we're seeing higher prices selling because interest rates are so low. I heard this last week. I don't know if it's true. 2.62%.
Yes. A lender called me today and said, we just locked in so-and-so at 2.6. And I just about dropped the phone.
I'm dropping. I had, in the show over the years, I had a 10-year, I had this no interest rate loan, that I paid for a long time.
A no interest rate loan?
Interest only loan for 10 years.
Interest only. I was gonna say, dude, I want that. Interest only.
And it was amazing because one time it was a variable rate, and at one time that thing got down to 2.62%. But now look at it, it's for 30-year fixed. So that in itself is driving our market for buyers, is the low interest rates, that they're buying more. They're able to buy more of a property. I know we got a break coming up. When we come back, Alice, I'll just show you how much that market has changed. Again, we used to say 350 and below was one market, 350 and above is higher. We're changing that. Scrap that. It's 500,000 now is that dividing line. That's how much our market has changed.
Right. But I don't know that the buyers are driving up the price. Well, I mean, yes, the buyers are driving up the price, but I don't know that the local people are driving up the price. It's the people coming from out of the area. I sold 3 houses this week. 2 of them were out of area, all cash, and they're just overbidding. And even when you say this is Southern Oregon, you don't have to do that. They go, well, here's, 30,000 more dollars. But quite frankly, it was a multiple offer situation and they might have lost the house.
Okay. That's why you had that, because they went over because they're in a multiple offer situation then. Okay. I can see that going over, but I don't think buyers in general are just going to go pay more money because they want to pay more money unless they really want the house. And we're seeing that as well. It's just a total dynamic change that changes the way we buy and the way we sell and the way we look at these properties right now.
Yep. And we've got a break coming up from one of our lovely sponsors. We appreciate our sponsors so much. It's why we get to do this show every week for you guys. So do not touch that dial. Please stay with us. Pete and I are going to be talking more about some surprising changes in our local real estate market here just in the last week. You do not want to miss a second of this conversation. So listen to the sponsors and come right back. Welcome back, Southern Oregon. Here at the Real Estate Show, Alice Lema, Pete Belcastro, we're both brokers at John L. Scott, Southern Oregon. And boy, have we had some interesting shifts happening in the market this week. And it's great that we get to talk to you every week because you get to hear how these little micro changes that are happening start getting some legs and becoming trends. And a lot of times you hear it here first, right, Pete?
Absolutely. If our listeners and viewers, if they're paying any attention, they are the smartest real estate people in Southern Oregon because they hear this first. You're absolutely right. Alice, I just want to say one thing here. We're talking about low inventory of listings. It's just such a big thing right now. And just to give you an example, a year ago, there were 1,067 residential listings in Jackson County available. 1,067. Today, there's 548. That's 48.6% less than a year ago. So we have more buyers, we have more sales happening, but fewer inventory, fewer items, fewer choices for buyers. And that is what's maybe changing part of the market that we talked about, because people are saying, gee, I really can't find something. Go look. You do this. You show up property all the time like I do. Go look for some certain price categories somewhere. So go look for something in 350. And there's not much out there.
Or what's out there is damaged, smells bad.
And it's been out there for months and months and months. That's what we're facing. That is a huge problem in our market right now, is the lack of choice in certain price ranges for the buyers, for the many, many buyers that are out there. That's why when something really cool comes up and everybody's looking at it, why we had 32 showings in 3 days at our listing, because of that. It was a nice property. People wanted to see it, and away we go.
Yeah. And the other thing is it's being, the situation is also exacerbated because we don't have our construction rehab loans available every single day like we used to because of the corona. And I know this because I'm involved in one. 2 times since March, the construction loans have been shut off. The rehab loans. So, and we depend on those rehabilitation loan sources so that we can take these broken houses, these damaged properties, and borrow the money to do the repairs and make them financeable or make them presentable to the market. So now all of a sudden in fits and starts, the lenders, because they're scared, are kind of shutting off that faucet to the marketplace. And then these houses just languish and they're going to have to drop the price and hope for a cash buyer.
And so why in the world would they do that? Why would the lender drop?
I know, isn't that the dumbest thing? So this is how it was explained to me. And I was like so upset because, the lender said that because of the corona, those loans are considered higher risk. And I'm thinking, I don't know. The way they do these rehab and construction loans is they do the appraisal first with the dollar of what it's going to be worth when it's done, and it's going to be worth like $100,000 more. So what the hey? Just do it. Well, they shut me off twice. So
Wow.
but you know what I did? This is what I did because I was so mad and also worried. I sat and thought, okay, I know somebody is giving construction money. Who would it be? And you know who it is?
Who
It's
is
the
it?
people that do the manufactured home on land. Those lenders that underwrite those are still, because my friend Christine at Clayton Homes, she's doing this stuff. She's making money and selling houses and helping people move forward. So I called one of those lenders and bada boom, 5 days ago, we're sailing through.
Well, I hope those rehab loans do come back. I used one in March, and it worked great. Instead of Central Point home, the buyer, I think they got like a $15,000 extra for the rehab loan. They fixed it up, moved in, and it's like a happily ever after. That would be.
And was the appraisal higher? Like, did
Uh,
it appraise for higher than the construction?
It was in pretty bad shape, so I don't remember that part of it being appraised higher, but it will now. If he goes to sell it, he's going to
Quite
get
a bit, huh?
absolutely. He's going to get much more for it. He's got instant equity by doing the rehab loan in that property because it's worth more than what he paid for it just in March. Absolutely true.
Yeah. See, every time we do one of those, whether it's one of my own or a client, the minimum equity we've had in the first 30 days is $20,000. I've been doing these off and on for 11 years, $20,000 or more equity. So they're a very important part of our market, and that market isn't being served right now. Unless, and I'll let you know how mine turns out. But yeah, we really need that construction money. It's important.
It's a big thing that we saw. One thing that I experienced this week was it's easy to find non-owner occupied landlords. They're investors. They have rental properties, and I had an experience where people are calling these the landlords and asking them if they're willing to sell their homes. And
I'm
so
one of them.
Did you get a call?
No, I call landlords.
You call landlords
constantly
and ask if they're willing to sell their properties.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You do that versus a company like Zillow or Redfin that does that. They're going in asking, they're going to buy their home. Will you sell your home to us? But they're really not going to buy the home. They really want the lead to sell the lead. And I just want landlords to be aware of this happening. If you do get a call like that, be very, very leery.
Well, and people who are doing that are losing big time. They're losing like 10% of their profit that they would normally have with an agent. And we're not saying that as agents. We're just saying that because we want you guys to be, safe consumers. And it's not just Zillow and Redfin. It's OpCity, Realtor.com. And there's like 2 others out of Southern California. But if I call you, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure you get top dollar.
Yeah, no, it's totally different approach there that we're seeing. One of the other things was that the 30-day notice part that, when we at John L. Scott and most agents, when you take a listing, you want to sell, your ideal is to sell that house in 30 days, right?
Yeah, you'll get the most money. It's statistically true.
And isn't it true that the first offer you get is generally the highest?
Statistically, yeah.
Statistically, that's what that works.
But that's hard for people.
Well, let me just again, we talked about how much our market has changed. And this is how fast, again, some of these listings are going because of the demand by buyers is so there. If you're in the price category, Alice, of $0 to $250,000, which is it's a very popular price range, 66% of those go off in the first 30 days. Again, okay, 66% of them. If you're in that, I'm sorry about 0 to 250, it was 83% are sold went pending in the first 30 days. Okay, 83% of them. Between 250 and 350,000, 80% go in the first 30 days. Well, what's changed is between $350,000 and $500,000 for the first time in at least 3 years, and I'm looking at these stats right here. 65% of those properties went pending in the first 30 days. It has never been that way in the previous 3 years, nothing even close to that. It's generally 23%, 25%, 30%, 35%. Never has it been 65% in that category going pending in 30 days. That is remarkable to me.
Yeah, and so then it poses a question, if you want to sell your house, how do you do this and still sleep at night so that and not be homeless? And so I've got 4 escrows listings that what we had to do was put in there, we don't have a house identified, and whoever buys this house has to give us almost an unlimited amount of time to find a house. Now, every situation is slightly different, but that's kind of how we put the listing on the market. And it was pre-inspected, so the buyers have less risk, and it was priced appropriately to create a multiple offer situation for the seller to pick the buyer that would wait the longest. Because
Wow.
that is now the thing you have to do. And then then the buyers start, getting antsy if it's taking more than 30 days or so. But 100% so far, it's working. But it's hard. It is so hard for everybody. But you really have to create a situation on the seller side so that they have time to go find another house. And once everybody bridges that gap, it's going to be fine. And then people can get where they want to go in the time they want to be.
Okay, so it's not necessarily what you're saying, not necessarily about money in the end. It's about being able to find the replacement property for that seller.
You have to pick a buyer that will just sit there and not squawk while you wait to buy a house.
That's amazing. Well, when I bought my farm, I had almost 120-day close on it. It's the biggest one I've ever done. What are your kind of close dates? How are you getting that through, you think?
We just put them out 30 days, and then we have to change it. And so I got a call from one buyer's agent today, and he's very unhappy because this is our 3rd time changing it, but we're almost done, and we are gonna close on both properties. But and I feel so bad for his buyers, and we've given them 2 opportunities to cancel the contract without any fuss. Well, the state of Oregon lets them do it anyway, so it's not like, but we just said we understand and we're sorry, but what do you want to do?
Well, there's not much you can do. I've had clients come in and talk about, where can I go? What can I do? We talk about occupy before closing, occupy after closing are also on the table now, more than I've seen in my years doing this too. So
yeah, because that's how you bridge the gap between the different addresses. Yeah.
Again, the sellers have no place to go if they're not prepared or have something. If you're leaving town, you're going someplace else is one thing. If you're moving in our own communities, well, what the problem is finding the replacement inventory, finding a replacement house. Boy, and it's tough. You predicted, by the way, you and Tiffany Wilkerson from John L. Scott predicted we were going to have a whole bunch more listings here by Labor Day. We got 2 more weeks, Alice. I don't know. Well,
and the back on market, that idea that somebody accepts an offer and then the buyers change their mind, that back on market is adding to our inventory. So if any of the listening audience is out there watching the stats, you have to take the new listings and you have to add the back on market, because that's the actual true number of the inventory.
And are you encouraging people also, my times at buyers, maybe it's okay to be in second position, put a backup offer in?
Constantly.
These things are really falling apart sometimes. So you may still get that. So it's, don't be afraid. You got nothing to lose to put in a backup offer, I don't think.
And you have nothing to lose to put your house on the market.
Yeah,
really, I still say 2 more weeks, maybe 3 more weeks. I think there's the backlog of buyers, and they're super cooperative, and they'll be flexible, or they won't be in the market, or they won't be writing an offer on a house that needs that much time to find a replacement. So I just think it's like you keep saying, Pete, it's the best of both, and we never see that. It's the best opportunity for the seller and the buyer right now, and that just never happens.
Never happened in our 13 years that you and I have been doing this. We've never been able to say it's a great time to list and a great time to buy all in the same breath. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and there is a lot of trauma and drama, and we do feel very deeply sad for our friends and family that are going through that. And we're going to talk more about that after this commercial break from our sponsors. And do not touch that dial. Well, good morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with Pete Belcastro. We're both real estate brokers in John L. Scott, Southern Oregon, and we're talking about all the weird changes that have happened this week that we're both noticing in our local market. So, Pete, one of the things that we were going to circle back and talk about was the commercial market, and you actually are a commercial real estate owner yourself. What are you seeing out there?
Well, I'm in Klamath Falls, so I've got some properties there. I'm seeing large spaces, Alice, seem to be out. I think that if you have a large commercial space, trying to get somebody to rent that in a retail operation is really difficult right now, because the whole market is just crazy. I don't know how to describe it, but what we have seen is smaller parcels, 1,200, 15, 1,700, 2,000 square feet, maybe commercial spaces. Those are still affordable and people can do something with those. It's the larger spaces that are just really sitting. So as a landlord, I've divided my building. I'm divided it into thirds. I'm going to have 3 rentals instead of 1 out of it, because the demand is there for smaller spaces that businesses can use. It may not be like retail as much as professional spaces. I think retail is going through a whole change of craziness, as are, restaurants and everything in our business world. So I'm still concerned as you are about where that's all going to end. The housing part of it, Alex, we can see what's going on. I mean, we see all this stuff, all the numbers. We see that every day. We know what's happening in commercial, in housing real estate. It's the commercial part that is so upended, upside down. And as you say, if people wait, I think you're right. You can make some great deals in the future for some commercial space, because the landlords have nobody right now to fill those spaces anywhere.
And that's the side effect of chaos, is it creates opportunity, and it is humanly traumatic and sad and unfortunate. So we don't want to discount any of that. Plus, this small town, we know a lot of these people, and we saw what happened during the crash. And I'm carrying Kleenex in my car again when I go on these appointments, and haven't had to do that since 2009. But on the business side, if you can get into a cash position, or have a lot of cash standing by this winter into next spring, I think as long as you can tolerate the discomfort and the difficulty of the transaction itself, because these are not going to be easy transactions with people, if you can weather that, you will get some good deals. And I think commercial is going to be that it girl for investors. If you have ever wanted a commercial building, I think this could be something of a feeding frenzy. But it is because some poor business person is losing that part of their livelihood. So, but again, chaos does create opportunity.
We have opportunities in the world you're talking about. I've been running around with I've learned a lot, Alice, about the hemp and cannabis buying and selling, the brokering that's going on in our valley. It's fascinating. That's a whole other story. So that's a whole other show on that kind of thing.
Those are the people that should be waiting to start buying some warehouses. That's a great idea.
I want to say about the warehouse, there is no warehouse space anywhere in Southern Oregon. Investors, if you have
right now,
you may want to put some warehouses in, because there is a huge shortage of them. They're getting really good price for it. There's just not enough of it compared to what is going on around us in terms of all the hemp and cannabis production, storage, drying, all the things that go with it. We don't have it here, and that's causing a lot of the product to be shipped out someplace else. So we're losing money on that. So again, that's an opportunity. As you always say, there's always opportunity in this market, no matter what it is doing. You just got to look for those, and you got to go for it if you're ready to do it.
And you're going to have to be creative. And I think part of what the corona has done with us is those of us that are successfully adapting our businesses are the ones that are going to be able to get through this with some semblance, of security left. And if you're if you're not an essential service person, if you go online and look at the state of Oregon list that Governor Brown gave us, if you don't have that kind of a job right now, get one, because that is a way to protect yourself. And then additionally, if you're looking for opportunities in these situations, you can always talk to your friends and family, let them know that you want to be buying some of that, and maybe they can help steer you to somebody who needs to sell something quickly. Call a real estate agent, call a realtor so that it's done properly, but you would be helping them out, and you would be doing that kind of early in the process, so it would be better for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Also, try a short-term vacation rental. You're talking about an investment right now. Try to book, Alice, between now and the end of the year.
I know you keep saying that.
It's unbelievable. There aren't any. Go to the coast right now. Any place. They are simply there's no football. There's no sports this fall. People are just going in family groups. They're going together, and they're coming up and taking short-term rentals as a place to go. It's an amazing opportunity there as well. So there are, even despite all that's going on, the market itself is really.
Well, because some businesses are successfully adapting, and they were nimble enough, or they experimented enough and it worked, they got lucky. But one of the things that I heard that was happening this week is Amazon is going to be buying some of these zombie malls, some of these retail malls. So let's, be honest, retail has been sinking for a long time. But now it's been accelerated because of the corona, and Amazon came out with the idea that they can buy some of these and they could turn them into, they call them a go store, but it's the cashierless, that you don't have a person checking you out. You just walk in, and it takes the money out of your phone. I don't know how it works, but the idea was they were going to go in and repurpose these huge places, and they could get them for a song. Mm-hmm. So I thought, now that's a very interesting idea. What if the hemp people did that? Or what if, some other business that was in the essential services list, because those are the ones that are, making it right now. What if Airbnb went in and did that and turned them into like mini condos?
Mm-hmm. That's happening all around the country. Again, it's opportunities and what's out there to do, because if you can buy low, buy right, you have a great opportunity to then create something for yourself or your family. It makes perfect sense. It's what we talk about. It's what the country is about. Why we have rules. The rules of real estate are written the way they are to encourage this type of investment and opportunity for people to create wealth for you and your family. That's really what it's about. So I know we're out of time, Alice, but again, next week we're going to look at this again and see if the market is still in this flux for this right now before we go into the fall. It's going to be very exciting. There's a lot of activity. Don't be discouraged. Get a good agent, because you can still get what you want with your dream, as long as you plan and you make a good effort to go get it.
Yeah, and if you want to sell your house, you want to talk about selling your house, call somebody. Call us. We'd like you to call us, but just call somebody. And I'm getting houses on the market in 4 and 5 days in some cases. So do not be afraid. It doesn't cost anything to talk. And in the meantime, just take care of yourself and your family, and know that we're all here to help as best we can. Southern Oregons are tight-knit. We stick together, right, Pete?
Absolutely. We're all in this together. We got to stick together, because we can't get out of this until we do. So I'm excited about the future. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be an interesting next few months. Can't wait to see how it all out.
Yeah, and it is going to get better. So in the meantime, enjoy the beauty of Southern Oregon, enjoy each other. Our hearts and prayers are with everybody who might be going through a hard time right now. And this broadcast will be repeated tomorrow, Sunday at 6 p.m. You can also check us out on realestateoregon.com on the website. Alice and Pete saying goodbye. Make it a great day.